Good morning, guys. Welcome to BISP. And today we will be going through a brief overview of FDMEE on cloud. So this is a very recent offering from Oracle along with standard products such as PBCS, FCCS. So when I say PBCS, it is Planning and Budgeting Cloud Service, or Financial Consolidation Cloud Service, and Account Reconciliation Cloud Service. So I think FDME on cloud comes bundled with all of these three products. So what Oracle has done is that with all of these products, they have integrated FDMEE, and the data load to all of these three types of applications are to be done using FDMEE. So on cloud, as FDME also has certain limitations, but still Oracle has tried to put in the best features of FDME on cloud. There are a couple of features which are present in cloud that are not there in on-premise, and similarly vice versa. We will be deep into these and checking what all things are there in FDMEE on cloud, how to access those, how to develop artifacts, or complete end-to-end integration with the target system. So in our example, we will be discussing Oracle ePBCS application. So we'll try to load data into an ePBCS application. Okay, so let's get started. So very briefly, FDME on cloud is also known as FDME Lite. Okay, so it is a very user-friendly interface. It has pre-built integration with ERP cloud, such as you can connect to Fusion Financials and so on. And as a target application, you can connect to PBCS, ePBCS, FCCS, ARCS. All of these you can connect. So these all are the latest cloud offering from Oracle. You can move data across plan types in whenever you connect FDMEE. So let's say you have a target ePBCS application where you have a number of plan types, let's say 6 plan types, and a couple of them are BSO and few of them are ASO as well. So I think 2 of them are ASO, you can take it. 4 of them are BSO. So you can use FDME to move data across these cubes, ASO to BSO, BSO to BSO, and vice versa, ASO to ASO as well. So it can be used data to move. Actually, in cloud, Oracle has provided a very few feature through which you can move data across cubes in a planning application. One of them is using FDMEE. So there are certain advantages which we get when we move data across plan types using FDMEE. We will be discussing them in our regular class. Further, it supports hybrid deployments. When I say hybrid deployments, I mean that you can do a cloud-to-cloud integration. That is, you can even do a multiple instance integration, that a cloud FDME you can connect to a different instance as well. And also an overall package be formulated where the cloud ePBCS application can be connected from on-premise FDME. So this is helpful when you want to move your data from on-premise HFM to cloud planning applications. We will be discussing about these as well. It supports textual data loads into the target system such as smart list, dates, etc. So with FDME Cloud, this is a new feature which is even not available in the on-premise FDMEE. So with FDME Cloud, you can load textual data into planning application. So now loading smart list, dates, exchange rate is anyway a numeric data. So smart list, dates, all of these are now possible. So there is a new feature which came in FDME Cloud, and that feature is known as drivers. And this allows you to load data, driver-based data into the target system. So usually in FDME on-premise, it was mandatory that we had a period in columns always to get the data loaded. But with the use of drivers, we can have any dimension in columns to get data loaded into the target system. So this is one more feature which is still not there in on-premise FDMEE. So the ideal situations for using FDMEE on cloud, I have listed down a few of them, but there can be many others. So FDME supports consolidations. So when I say consolidation, I mean that you can aggregate the data right away in FDMEE and load them into the target application. Okay, so let's say we have a scenario where you want all the entity dimension data to be loaded to a particular member entity NA. Okay, so data can be well aggregated in FDMEE cloud and then loaded into the target application. It is ideal when you are loading data to FCCS, EPVCS, PVCS, etc. And all the data loads can be end-to-end automated. So there can be no manual intervention, and all of these, starting from importing data, validating data, and loading it to target, all of these processes can be automated seamlessly. It also supports error handling. So a lot of out-of-box features of error handling are there. So let's say you want dynamic mappings. So dynamic mappings are useful when you are running automations and you expect new metadata to come with each load. So when you have new metadata coming in with each load, so definitely we need mappings for those, right? So you can program using dynamic features of the uh, FDME mapping, and let's say map dynamically them to the suspense account, and that way all metadata comes. So we can configure those based on our business requirement. And again, we have role-based security. So here there are certain pre-built security rules provided from Oracle, and there is an administrator who can instance administrators who can provide the security rule based on the business needs. So can refer here FDME or FDME cloud, both are the same thing. So it allows administrators to apply mapping logic, or it allows business users to apply mapping logic through a very user-friendly interface. The management of mapping is easy. You simply manage it in a text file and get it uploaded into FDMEE. The maintenance is easier. So it supports text file, CSV file, all of these are supported, and thus it became very easy for user to upload the mappings or to maintain the mappings. So you can still continue maintaining mappings in your Excel sheet, save it as a CSV and get it uploaded into FDMEE. That's easy. It has built-in scheduling process with the help of which you can automate the data loads. So in integration part, FDME Cloud comes with the following adapters. It comes with integration for file, NetSuite, HCM Cloud, and Financial Cloud. So all of these four source systems can now be integrated using FDMEE. However, in Target, we have PVCS, EPVCS, FCCS, and ARCS. So these four target systems are now supported, or with these four packages, FDMEE comes pre-built. Okay, and in file, it supports any file format. So be it delimited or fixed file format, or even it supports textual data load, such as you can load smart list data, etc. Okay, so the new added addition, the most recent addition is NetSuite to the source adapters. However, previously HCM and financial clouds were also there, but NetSuite is the one which got added very recently, I think in last month. So this is one very good feature of cloud, that Oracle patches it every month, and with every patches you will see new feature coming in. So that way a lot can be expected from Oracle and FDMEE, and this is one product which they are upgrading very rapidly. So with each patch, you will see a lot of new feature getting added to FDMEE. Okay, now we will quickly discuss a few of the features that we have there in FDMEE Cloud. One of them are source system and import formats. So import format is a place or a artifact where we define or we map the source system dimensions with that of the target system. Okay, so what here is basically we take the let's say we are loading a file, and we have columns of data coming in a file. We have various columns of metadata and then a final column of data. So in FDMEE Cloud, we in import format, we tell FDMEE that which dimension and which column should be mapped. That is, which column in the source file belongs to which dimension. We do that mapping in import format. We have mapping rules where we translate the dimensionality, that is, individual members get translated to the target based on the mapping defined in our mapping tables. We have data load rules, which is used to run the loads for each period. These are something that can be reused over and over again to run the loads. So using data load rules, we can trigger the various steps of the workflow at one shot, and you need not have to trigger them one by one manually. Okay, so these are few features. Moving forward, we have reports. So FDMEE supports on cloud supports a number of reports. You can pull them based on your business needs. Batch processing is there, which is used for automation of data loads. So this is something very important. You don't need any third-party scheduling tool or anything. You simply have to schedule your data loads in batch loads, and you create batch and schedule them, and FDMEE Cloud can trigger them as and when you have scheduled. Okay, last is data synchronization in this overview. So data synchronization is something which allows you to use EPM application as a source. Okay, when you use EPM application as a source, as I said, you can move around data across different plan types. Okay, so if you search for the data synchronization option, you won't find it because there is no option. It is just a feature where you use EPM application as a source. So let's say I have mentioned that you can use ASO as a source and move data into PSO, or vice versa. So you can keep your data synchronized between plan types using data synchronization feature. So this feature is available in all of these like PBCS, FCCS. But however, a limitation is that since you can only have one application, you cannot move data from uh, let's say FCCS to PBCS because you cannot have two different applications in one instance. So that this is one limitations. So let's get into a little deeper of these artifacts that we have discussed. So import format, as I said, we map the fields in the column to that of the dimensions of the target application. Okay, when we do that, we basically tell FDME that yeah, column number 1 belongs to account, column number 2 belongs to entity, and so on. And let's say column number 12 belongs to amount column. So whenever FDME processes your data file, it understands that which column in the data file should go and sit into which dimension. This is extremely important because based on this, your further member mappings are defined and your data gets translated based on this. Okay, so there are certain tricks also which are possible in the import formats based on what we have and what kind of a data file we are receiving. So we can add or remove dimensions from this dynamically. All of these are possible. So if you want to hard code any dimension member, you can do that. If you want to map one dimension to two different target dimension, that also can be possible. So let's say you have one department dimension. You want to map that department to two different targets. That is, let's say one department dimension and one entity dimension. So you can equally do that. Okay. So based on the type of file that an import format can load, we have three different types of import format. They are like fixed format, delimited, and multivariate import format. And based on the data type, we have numeric and textual data. Okay. So these are the types of import format that we have in FDMEE Cloud. We have locations in FDMEE Cloud, and a location is basically a level at which we import data from source, process it, and load it to the target. So this is a level, and it should not be uh, confused with entities. So location are level at which we load data and execute data loads. Okay, locations are important because they remain associated with the source system and the target system. Okay, so they basically bind these source and target system, and each location has its own mappings, import formats, and data load rules. So we maintain the mappings inside a location, and we can also do security provisioning based on the location. So location has a wide variety of usage, and the most important usage is that it acts as a repository for the storage of mappings. So inside a location, we have or we can store different sets of mapping based on the number of dimensions that we have in the target application. Okay, so moving forward, we have mappings. So this is the most important feature of FDMEE. So this is where your data translation takes place. Okay, based on these definitions. So you define the source and the target members for each members of a dimension. So if you have 5 different dimensions in the target, this is where you define the mappings for 5 different sets. Okay, so you should be having as many sets of mapping corresponding to the individual dimension. So let's say I will have different sets for mapping for account, different sets of mapping for entity, and so on. And here is the mappings. You say that this is the source and this is the target, and this is the place. Based on this information, your data gets translated. Okay, so there are 5 types of mapping in FDMEE. They are explicit, in, between, multi-dim, and like. So all of these are important Explicit is a one-to-one mapping, while the rest of the others are known as wildcard mappings. We'll be discussing them in very details in our regular classes. So next is data load rules. Data load rule is something that is very important. The reason being is it allows us to trigger the workflow at one shot. It remains tied up with category and period always. Okay, so you while create your data loads, you always tie it up with certain categories, and the data load rule remains valid for those categories. Okay, when you execute data load rule, you have the option to run it for which period or which range of periods. You have the option to select what steps of the workflow you want to trigger, so that way it becomes easier for us to load data even for multi-periods using single clicks. They always remain associated with location and are specific to location. You cannot have one data load rules tied to more than one location. You can create multiple data load rules for a target application so that you can import multiple source of data into a target application. Okay, so it simply means that I can have more than one data load rule associated with a single location. However, the vice versa is not true. I cannot have one data load rule associated with more than one location. Batches. Batches are the simplest thing. It is simply used to run automations. Okay, so you can schedule batch and run them as per your requirement. You can run the data load rules using batches, and they can be run in serial or parallel, whatever you want, and it works both for single period and multi-period load. So one important thing is the scheduling of the batches. So with this feature, you do not need to use any third-party tool to run this automation. So you can simply schedule them, and FDMEE cloud will trigger them based on the time that you have scheduled it. So we also has a new utility in FDMEE cloud, and or it is not FDMEE cloud, it is generic. That is, this utility is developed for both FCCS, PBCS, EPPCS and all. So for all of these utility is there, and it supports also FDMEE cloud. So we can use EPM automate utility to upload data into inbox, run data load rules, run batches, and automate using batches. So when I say automatic using Windows batches, we basically write Windows batches to automate data load rule. So this is also a very important utility which comes along the cloud offering. Okay, so this is all that we have. So now I will take the question and answers from you guys.